You finally quit the corn, right? You tried nofap. You did everything the forums, the post online told you, but you're still struggling in the bedroom. You're frustrated, your confidence is shot, and you're wondering if you're ever will get back to normal. Now, the truth is, just quitting is not enough. Here's why you still can't get it up and what you actually need to do to fix it. Now, number one, you haven't unwired your brain completely, right? And rewired it to real intimacy, right? So we have to think about this, right? On one end, you've been doing a bad habit for, who knows? I'm not even going to say bad. You've been doing a certain habit that's been conditioning you and wiring your mind to work in a certain way. And how long has that been going on for? Probably years and years and years if you're watching this video. If you're a shorter period of time, great for you. But majority of people that have this issue, a lot of times it's because they've been in this cycle for a while, right? And what happens when you stop watching the corn, right? Your brain starts to go back to normal. So you're always either wiring in one direction or another is how you can think about it, right? And you start to go back to your original form, right? And some people will say 30, 60, 90 days. But what happens is the other side of things that people tend to overlook is you need to wire your mind in the other direction. So you need to do things like going outside, right? Socializing, interacting with real women. Because, of course, if you unwire in one way, what do you need to do next, right? You just took step one, which is one of the hardest parts, if you're even at this point. And number two, you have to rewire to the other direction, right? And odds are, if you're probably off the corn, you're in a position to where you're like, all right, I'm able to socialize, be in these social events, chase real stimuli and dopamine instead of chasing, the online content, which is keeping you stuck and in the same place year after year, right? So remember, you unwire, and then you rewire in the correct direction. Number two, overlooking hidden factors. This is one of my favorites because personally for me, it provided the most help, right? And I'm gonna give you a perfect example right now. So for example, I remember the longest streak that I had most recently was probably, and that's of course when I was still counting and doing that type of stuff, was around 115 days, right? 115 days, I'm thinking I'm good, right? I'm good, I'm solid. I end up going to a situation where I have an opportunity to perform, and what happens? It improved, but I still wasn't really at my full capability like I know I could, right? And I still kind of was dealing with this issue. And I'm thinking, man, I feel like I did the hardest part. I did the nofap, I did the work. I went, no PMO for a very long time period. And still I'm not able to get the results that I want. And it made me think, all right, then are things like nofap and SR, are those really the keys to all of this? And the answer probably for a lot of you is no. It's to tell you the truth. Now, of course, everyone's situation is different, but if you specifically resonate with this video, it's probably not. It's part of it for sure. But then there are these other lifestyle factors, right? You have things like diet, sleep, dealing with emotions like stress, maybe exercise as well. So these are other things that people tend to overlook, and they just focus on one thing, which is quitting the corn, right? But this is an issue. PID is an issue that has multiple factors to it, right? So it's not just quitting corn. You also need to improve your lifestyle as a whole, which a lot of people don't like to talk about. People just like to say, okay, man, you go 90 days, your brain will be rebooted, you're good. But I find that's not even always accurate, because if you optimize for these other lifestyle factors, man, you could make way more progress way faster without just saying, arbitrarily, oh, I'm gonna go 30 days and we're gonna see what happens. It's really not the best method in my experience. Number three, expecting a quick fix. Now, a lot of times people are impatient with this, and honestly, I don't blame you, right? Because you get into that position to where you're getting desperate, right? You've been going in the same cycle over and over again. trying to change your life, trying to change things, and you're in a cycle where you need a quick fix, you need help, you need something that's quickly going to work that you can implement so that you can take control and get pretty much the results that you want in this area, because relationships is one of those areas to where it's important part, right? You have three things: health, wealth, and relationships, right? And you think about things like children, you think about things like having a wife or a girlfriend, and these are real milestones that if you're unable to fix this problem, and probably a lot of you are dealing with this, you're not actually able to have these successful relationships because you haven't done that internal work on yourself, right? And you think, how long is a relationship actually going to last if you're still dealing with these problems? For a lot of you, it's probably not that long if you're even able to get into one, right? And of course, everyone has different goals with relationships, in attracting the opposite gender. But at the end of the day, you know that this is a huge hurdle, right? And of course, you can't expect a different outcome without taking different results. You have to put in the work. You have to follow a roadmap to get there. And a lot of you just expect these quick results, these microwave results, right? Because you got to see, the world is transitioning to a place where we get instant things, right? You have things like DoorDash, you can order your groceries online, you get the microwave, you have all these things, but people don't like to sit there and really figure out and dissect their problems, right? And of course, you have to take your time and actually put in the groundwork. Now, if you put in that groundwork, man, you can definitely make a recovery, as long as, again, we're not talking about any actual, crazy ailments that you have. You can definitely make a recovery for sure, right? And even for me, when I think about when I put the right pieces in place, and I, this is 100% facts. There's no reason for me to make this up. A lot of you have even seen my story. Man, all it took was 1 week. I'm gonna be honest. That's it. All it took me, but that was after putting in the groundwork, right? A lot of you just think it's gonna happen like that, but you haven't really dissected and figured out your entire problem, right? So keep that in mind, man. Don't try to bake in these results and think that things are just gonna go so quick. If this is something you've been dealing with for a while, it's gonna take some time, right? So be patient, but also take action insanely fast, because you and track things, because you're not just gonna, one day just stumble across a solution, especially if things have been going like this for so long. Number 4, obsessing over the problem keeps you stuck in the same cycle, right? So what happens, and this is an interesting, observation that I made about people dealing with addictions in general. What happens is when they focus solely on just trying to quit, right? Let's say you don't change anything else, but you have this insane motivation. You watch one of my videos, you watched a motivational video, and you have this insane type of motivation to quit, right? You're like, man, I have to. I got to get back in the game. I got to make things happen. I got to change my life. You watch one of these at 3 a.m., whatever, super late, and then you wake up the next day, and what happens? Maybe you don't have the same type of motivation anymore, right? And a lot of times you obsess so much over it that it's all you can think about, right? Your primary thought is not, what do I want to do with that extra energy? Your first thought is, how can I quit? How can I quit? And you obsess so much over it. And the problem with this is it's counterintuitive. It's almost like the harder that you try to quit, the more that you relapse. And probably a lot of you have realized this, right? Because you're like, man, I gotta solve this problem. Maybe something happened bad in your life, right? And you're like, man, I have to change. I have to change. And you obsess so much over it, but then it's like, it makes it even more difficult. And that's been my experience as well, right? When I think about things like this, I'm like, man, I gotta make it happen. I gotta make it happen. I gotta make it happen. And then it's just like, you probably relapse every day, basically, versus other times when you think about it, maybe you just think about this problem a little less, right? You got some other things going on in your life, maybe some other goals that you're striving for. And what happens is, and it's weird, you literally go a longer period of time, right, without relapsing. So it's almost counterintuitive, but think about it like that. Your goal, you should have goals that are bringing you to a certain place, right? That are helping you hold yourself to to a certain standard. You don't want to be in a position to where your only goal is quitting, because it's counterintuitive, and you obsessing and keep, being reminded of this problem that you have is not going to help you. I'm telling you right now from first experience, you probably already know if you're watching this, man. Do not obsess over this, Now you need to obsess over a solution, but you don't want to obsess and just keep thinking about how am I going to quit. Obsess over your goals, man. And your goals should more than likely bring you to an area where you can pretty much be able to have that control to quit. But again, I'm not recommending discipline. What I'm recommending is fix your environment, fix your lifestyle, fix your problems, reach your goals, reach your full potential. Now, if you want a real blueprint to finally fix your PIED, right? And that's corn-induced ED, right? And you want to fix this for good. You're tired of trying a million things and it's not working for you, right? And you just can't find a solution. And you want an exact blueprint, right? You want help solving this problem. And you want free help, matter of fact. You want some free help. Man, click the link below. Book a free call. Let's see how I can help you. See what's missing for you. Put the puzzle pieces together so that we can get you unstuck and get you closer to that dream life that you want. The dream health, wealth, relationships, and get your time, energy, and attention back. Click the link in the bio. Do not wait. Peace.